Listen, it's called Connect Team, and it's insane. I don't do schedules or timesheets manually anymore.
And it works?
Oh, like you wouldn't believe it. My team puts in their availability, I click.
This course from Harvard University explores the concepts and algorithms at the foundation of modern artificial intelligence, diving into the ideas that give rise to technologies like game-playing engines, handwriting recognition, and machine translation. You'll gain exposure to the theory behind graph search algorithms, classification, optimization, reinforcement learning, and other topics in artificial intelligence and machine learning. Brian Yu teaches this course.
Hello world, this is CS50, and this is an introduction to artificial intelligence with Python, with CS50's own Brian Yu. This course picks up where CS50 itself leaves off and explores the concepts and algorithms at the foundation of modern AI.
We'll start with a look at how AI can search for solutions to problems, whether those problems are learning how to play a game or trying to find driving directions to a destination. We'll then look at how AI can represent information, both knowledge that our AI is certain about, but also information and events about which our AI might be uncertain. Learning how to represent that information, but more importantly, how to use that information to draw inferences and new conclusions as well. We'll explore how AI can solve various types of optimization problems, trying to maximize profits or minimize cost or satisfy some other constraints, before turning our attention to the fast-growing field of machine learning, where we won't tell our AI exactly how to solve a problem, but instead give our AI access to data and experiences so that our AI can learn on its own how to perform these tasks. In particular, we'll look at neural networks, one of the most popular tools in modern machine learning, inspired by the way that human brains learn and reason as well, before finally taking a look at the world of natural language processing, so that it's not just us humans learning to learn how artificial intelligence is able to speak, but also AI learning how to understand and interpret human language as well. We'll explore these ideas and algorithms, and along the way, give you the opportunity to build your own AI programs to implement all of this and more. This is CS50. All right, welcome everyone to an introduction to artificial intelligence with Python. My name is Brian Yu, and in this class we'll explore some of the ideas and techniques and algorithms that are at the foundation of artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence covers a wide variety of types of techniques. Anytime you see a computer do something that appears to be intelligent or rational in some way, like recognizing someone's face in a photo, or being able to play a game better than people can, or being able to understand human language when we talk to our phones and they understand what we mean and are able to respond back to us, these are all examples of AI, or artificial intelligence. And in this class, we'll explore some of the ideas that make that AI possible. So we'll begin our conversations with search, the problem of we have an AI and we would like the AI to be able to search for solutions to some kind of problem, no matter what that problem might be, whether it's trying to get driving directions from point A to point B, or trying to figure out how to play a game, given a tic-tac-toe game, for example, figuring out what move it ought to make. After that, we'll take a look at knowledge. Ideally, we want our AI to be able to know information, to be able to represent that information, and more importantly, to be able to draw inferences from that information, to be able to use the information it knows and draw additional conclusions. So we'll talk about how AI can be programmed in order to do just that. Then we'll explore the topic of uncertainty, talking about ideas of what happens if a computer isn't sure about a fact, but maybe is only sure with a certain probability. So we'll talk about some of the ideas behind probability and how computers can begin to deal with uncertain events in order to be a little bit more intelligent in that sense as well. After that, we'll turn our attention to optimization, problems of when the computer is trying to optimize for some sort of goal, especially in a situation where there might be multiple ways that a computer might solve a problem, but we're looking for a better way, or potentially the best way, if that's at all possible. Then we'll take a look at machine learning, or learning more generally, and looking at how when we have access to data, our computers can be programmed to be quite intelligent by learning from data and learning from experience, being able to perform a task better and better based on greater access to data. So your email, for example, where your email inbox somehow knows which of your emails are good emails and which of your emails are spam. These are all examples of computers being able to learn from past experiences and past data. We'll take a look, too, at how computers are able to draw inspiration from human intelligence, looking at the structure of the human brain and how neural networks can be a computer analog to that sort of idea, and how by taking advantage of a certain type of structure of a computer program, we can write neural networks that are able to perform tasks very, very effectively. And then finally, we'll turn our attention to language. Not programming languages, but human languages that we speak every day. And taking a look at the challenges that come about as a computer tries to understand natural language, and how it is that some of the natural language processing that occurs in modern artificial intelligence can actually work. But today, we'll begin our conversation with search, this problem of trying to figure out what to do when we have some sort of situation that the computer is in, some sort of environment that an agent is in, so to speak, and we would like for that agent to be able to somehow look for a solution to that problem. Now, these problems can come in any number of different types of formats. One example, for instance, might be something like this classic 15 puzzle with the sliding tiles that you might have seen, where you're trying to slide the tiles in order to make sure that all the numbers line up in order. This is an example of what you might call a search problem. The 15 puzzle begins in an initially mixed up state, and we need some way of finding moves to make in order to return the puzzle to its solved state. But there are similar problems that you can frame in other ways. Trying to find your way through a maze, for example, is another example of a search problem. You begin in one place, you have some goal of where you're trying to get to, and you need to figure out the correct sequence of actions that will take you from that initial state to the goal. And while this is a little bit abstract, anytime we talk about maze solving in this class, you can translate it to something a little more real world, something like driving directions. If you ever wonder how Google Maps is able to figure out what is the best way for you to get from point A to point B and what turns to make at what time depending on traffic, for example, it's often some sort of search algorithm. You have an AI that is trying to get from an initial position to some sort of goal by taking some sequence of actions. So we'll start our conversations today by thinking about these types of search problems and what goes into solving a search problem like this in order for an AI to be able to find a good solution. In order to do so, though, we're going to need to introduce a little bit of terminology, some of which I've already used, but the first term we'll need to think about is an agent. An agent is just some entity that perceives its environment, it somehow is able to perceive the things around it, and act on that environment in some way. So in the case of the driving directions, your agent might be some representation of a car that is trying to figure out what actions to take in order to arrive at a destination. In the case of the 15 puzzle with the sliding tiles, the agent might be the AI or the person that is trying to solve that puzzle, to try and figure out what tiles to move in order to get to that solution. Next, we introduce the idea of a state. A state is just some configuration of the agent in its environment. So in the 15 puzzle, for example, any state might be any one of these three, for example. A state is just some configuration of the tiles, and each of these states is different and is going to require a slightly different solution. A different sequence of actions will be needed in each one of these in order to get from this initial state to the goal, which is where we're trying to get. So the initial state then, what is that? The initial state is just the state where the agent begins. It is one such state where we're going to start from, and this is going to be the starting point for our search algorithm, so to speak. We're going to begin with this initial state and then start to reason about it, to think about what actions might we apply to that initial state in order to figure out how to get from the beginning to the end, from the initial position to whatever our goal happens to be. And how do we make our way from that initial position to the goal? Well, ultimately, it's via taking actions. Actions are just choices that we can make in any given state. And in AI, we're always going to try to formalize these ideas a little bit more precisely, such that we could program them a little bit more mathematically, so to speak. So this will be a recurring theme, and we can more precisely define actions as a function. We're going to effectively define a function called actions that takes an input S, where S is going to be some state that exists inside of our environment, and actions of S is going to take this state as input and return as output the set of all actions that can be executed in that state. And so it's possible that some actions are only valid in certain states and not in other states, and we'll see examples of that soon too. So in the case of the 15 puzzle, for example, there are generally going to be 4 possible actions that we can do most of the time. We can slide a tile to the right, slide a tile to the left, slide a tile up, or slide a tile down, for example. And those are going to be the actions that are available to us. So somehow our AI, our program, needs some encoding of the state, which is often going to be in some numerical format, and some encoding of these actions. But it also needs some encoding of the relationship between these things. How do the states and actions relate to one another? And in order to do that, we'll introduce to our AI a transition model, which will be a description of what state we get after we perform some available action in some other state. And again, we can be a little bit more precise about this, define this transition model a little bit more formally, again, as a function. The function is going to be a function called result that this time takes 2 inputs. Input number 1 is S, some state, and input number 2 is A, some action. And the output of this function result is it is going to give us the state that we get after we perform action A in state S. So let's take a look at an example to see more precisely what this actually means. Here's an example of a state of the 15 puzzle, for example. And here's an example of an action, sliding a tile to the right. What happens if we pass these as inputs to the result function? Again, the result function takes this board, this state, as its first input, and it takes an action as a second input. And of course here, I'm describing things visually so that you can see visually what the state is and what the action is. In a computer, you might represent one of these actions as just some number that represents the action, or if you're familiar with enums that allow you to enumerate multiple possibilities, it might be something like that. And this state might just be represented as an array or 2-dimensional array of all of these numbers that exist. But here, we're going to show it visually just so you can see it. But when we take this state and this action, pass it into the result function, the output is a new state. The state we get after we take a tile and slide it to the right, and this is the state we get as a result. If we had a different action and a different state, for example, and pass that into the result function, we'd get a different answer altogether. So the result function needs to take care of figuring out how to take a state and take an action and get what results, and this is going to be our transition model that describes how it is that states and actions are related to each other. If we take this transition model and think about it more generally and across the entire problem, we can form what we might call a state space, the set of all of the states we can get from the initial state via any sequence of actions by taking 0 or 1 or 2 or more actions in addition to that. So we could draw a diagram that looks something like this, where every state is represented here by a game board, and there are arrows that connect every state to every other state we can get to from that state. And the state space is much larger than what you see just here. This is just a sample of what the state space might actually look like. And in general, across many search problems, whether they're this particular 15 puzzle or driving directions or something else, the state space is going to look something like this. We have individual states and arrows that are connecting them. And oftentimes, just for simplicity, we'll simplify our representation of this entire thing as a graph, some sequence of nodes and edges that connect nodes. But you can think of this more abstract representation as the exact same idea. Each of these little circles or nodes is going to represent one of the states inside of our problem, and the arrows here represent the actions that we can take in any particular state, taking us from one particular state to another state, for example. All right. So now we have this idea of nodes that are representing these states, actions that can take us from one state to another, and a transition model that defines what happens after we take a particular action. So the next step we need to figure out is how we know when the AI is done solving the problem. The AI needs some way to know when it gets to the goal that it's found the goal. So the next thing we'll need to encode into our artificial intelligence is a goal test, some way to determine whether a given state is a goal state. In the case of something like driving directions, it might be pretty easy. If you're in a state that corresponds to whatever the user typed in as their intended destination, well, then you know you're in a goal state. In the 15 puzzle, it might be checking the numbers to make sure they're all in ascending order. But the AI needs some way to encode whether or not any state they happen to be in is a goal. And some problems might have one goal, like a maze where you have one initial position and one ending position, and that's the goal. In other more complex problems, you might imagine that there are multiple possible goals, that there are multiple ways to solve a problem, and we might not care which one the computer finds, as long as it does find a particular goal. However, sometimes a computer doesn't just care about finding a goal, but finding a goal well, or one with a low cost. And it's for that reason that the last piece of terminology that we'll use to define these search problems is something called a path cost. You might imagine that in the case of driving directions, it would be pretty annoying if I said I wanted directions from point A to point B, and the route that Google Maps gave me was a long route with lots of detours that were unnecessary, that took longer than it should have for me to get to that destination. And it's for that reason that when we're formulating search problems, we'll often give every path some sort of numerical cost, some number telling us how expensive it is to take this particular option, and then tell our AI that instead of just finding a solution, some way of getting from the initial state to the goal, we'd really like to find one that minimizes this path cost, that is less expensive or takes less time or minimizes some other numerical value. We can represent this graphically if we take a look at this graph again and imagine that each of these arrows, each of these actions that we can take from one state to another state, has some sort of number associated with it, that number being the path cost of this particular action, where some of the costs for any particular action might be more expensive than the cost for some other action, for example. Although this will only happen in some sorts of problems. In other problems, we can simplify the diagram and just assume that the cost of any particular action is the same. And this is probably the case in something like the 15 puzzle, for example, where it doesn't really make a difference whether I'm moving right or moving left. The only thing that matters is the total number of steps that I have to take to get from point A to point B, and each of those steps is of equal cost. We can just assume it's of some constant cost, like 1. And so this now forms the basis for what we might consider to be a search problem.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their best work with Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistance. What if they could jumpstart ideas for any assignment?
A search problem has some sort of initial state, some place where we begin, some sort of action that we can take, or multiple actions that we can take in any given state, and it has a transition model, some way of defining what happens when we go from one state and take one action, what state do we end up with as a result. In addition to that, we need some goal test to know whether or not we've reached a goal. And then we need a path cost function that tells us for any particular path, by following some sequence of actions, how expensive is that path? What is its cost in terms of money or time or some other resource that we are trying to minimize our usage of? And the goal ultimately is to find a solution, where a solution in this case is just some sequence of actions that will take us from the initial state to the goal state. And ideally, we'd like to find not just any solution, but the optimal solution, which is a solution that has the lowest path cost among all of the possible solutions. And in some cases, there might be multiple optimal solutions, but an optimal solution just means that there is no way that we could have done better in terms of finding that solution. So now we've defined the problem, and now we need to begin to figure out how it is that we're going to solve this kind of search problem. And in order to do so, you'll probably imagine that our computer is going to need to represent a whole bunch of data about this particular problem. We need to represent data about where we are in the problem, and we might need to be considering multiple different options at once. And oftentimes when we're trying to package a whole bunch of data related to a state together, we'll do so using a data structure that we're going to call a node. A node is a data structure that is just going to keep track of a variety of different values. And specifically in the case of a search problem, it's going to keep track of these 4 values in particular. Every node is going to keep track of a state, the state we're currently on. And every node is also going to keep track of a parent being the state before us, or the node that we used in order to get to this current state. And this is going to be relevant because eventually, once we reach the goal node, once we get to the end, we want to know what sequence of actions we used in order to get to that goal. And the way we'll know that is by looking at these parents to keep track of what led us to the goal and what led us to that state and what led us to the state before that, so on and so forth, backtracking our way to the beginning so that we know the entire sequence of actions we needed in order to get from the beginning to the end. The node is also going to keep track of what action we took in order to get from the parent to the current state. And the node is also going to keep track of a path cost. In other words, it's going to keep track of the number that represents how long it took to get from the initial state to the state that we currently happen to be at. And we'll see why this is relevant as we start to talk about some of the optimizations that we can make in terms of these search problems more generally. So this is the data structure that we're going to use in order to solve the problem. And now let's talk about the approach. How might we actually begin to solve the problem? Well, as you might imagine, what we're going to do is we're going to start at one particular state, and we're just going to explore from there. the intuition is that from a given state, we have multiple options that we could take, and we're going to explore those options. And once we explore those options, we'll find that more options than that are going to make themselves available. And we're going to consider all of the available options to be stored inside of a single data structure that we'll call the frontier. The frontier is going to represent all of the things that we could explore next that we haven't yet explored or visited. So in our approach, we're going to begin the search algorithm by starting with a frontier that just contains one state. The frontier is going to contain the initial state, because at the beginning, that's the only state we know about. That is the only state that exists. And then our search algorithm is effectively going to follow a loop. We're going to repeat some process again and again and again. The first thing we're going to do is, if the frontier is empty, then there's no solution. And we can report that there is no way to get to the goal. And that's certainly possible. There are certain types of problems that an AI might try to explore and realize that there is no way to solve that problem. And that's useful information for humans to know as well. So if ever the frontier is empty, that means there's nothing left to explore, and we haven't yet found a solution, so there is no solution. There's nothing left to explore. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll remove a node from the frontier. So right now, at the beginning, the frontier just contains one node representing the initial state. But over time, the frontier might grow. It might contain multiple states. And so here, we're just going to remove a single node from that frontier. If that node happens to be a goal, then we found a solution. So we remove a node from the frontier and ask ourselves, is this the goal? And we do that by applying the goal test that we talked about earlier, asking if we're at the destination, or asking if all the numbers of the 15 puzzle happen to be in order. So if the node contains the goal, we found a solution, great, we're done. And otherwise, what we'll need to do is we'll need to expand the node. And this is a term of art in artificial intelligence. To expand the node just means to look at all of the neighbors of that node. In other words, consider all of the possible actions that I could take from the state that this node is representing, and what nodes could I get to from there. We're going to take all of those nodes, the next nodes that I can get to from this current one I'm looking at, and add those to the frontier. And then we'll repeat this process. So at a very high level, the idea is we start with a frontier that contains the initial state, and we're constantly removing a node from the frontier, looking at where we can get to next, and adding those nodes to the frontier, repeating this process over and over until either we remove a node from the frontier and it contains a goal, meaning we've solved the problem, or we run into a situation where the frontier is empty, at which point we're left with no solution.
Yesterday was the last day of the rest of our lives. Yesterday was the day Sam Altman asked his ego this three-word question: what have we done? Because yesterday was the day the human intelligence monopoly officially ended with the long-awaited release of OpenAI's GPT-5, the first AI model to outperform biological humans on the simple benchmark. Meanwhile, it's quickly overtaking virtually every leaderboard on LM Arena, which means every programmer that still has a job will be getting a layoff notice shortly. Or at least that's what the hype engineers at OpenAI want you to think. Not everybody is falling for it, though. That simple bench score was just a rumor, and in fact, GPT-5 is actually in 5th place. GPT-5 failed to beat Grok on the ARC AGI benchmark, an important benchmark that was conveniently left out of yesterday's announcement. It also underwhelmed the betting markets, and OpenAI is no longer the favorite to have the best model of 2025. Worst of all, though, people found numerous problems with OpenAI's own charts, which really shouldn't happen when you have PhD-level intelligence in your pocket. In today's video, we'll find out if GPT-5 is just another overhyped incremental upgrade or a true game changer edging us closer to artificial superintelligence. It is August 8th, 2025, and we're watching the Code Report. In the past, GPT got better as it got bigger. It was trained on more data that would activate more parameters when generating text. But those days are essentially over. The thing that makes GPT-5 special is not that it's a bigger, smarter model, but rather it unifies multiple models, like fast, reasoning, routing, etc., to pick the right tool per task without the end user needing to think about it. In many ways, GPT-5 feels more like a consolidation and cost reduction effort after they spent the last year panic shipping a bunch of stupidly named models to justify the $200
Wix. One platform, any website. Unlimited creation.
Finally, there's something that makes ChatGPT and Veo 3 look bad. And honestly, I didn't think I'd be saying that this soon. For the longest time, everybody's been hyping these two up like they're untouchable, but this tool? Nah, it just came in and made both of them look outdated. And here's the wild part. It's not just better, it's free. This thing has so many features, you can't even keep up. Videos, images, character consistency, even app building. Yeah, that's right, app building. For months now, we've all been stuck relying on Veo 3 or the usual generators with their limits. But this one changes the whole game. Take a look at this example. Here she's smiling. Now on the right, same character, same style, but with a frown. No weird distortions, no broken faces, just clean and realistic. Now check this video. Yep, fully generated inside this tool, with smooth, natural motion, and it looks like something you could actually monetize. And the best part? You don't need to code, you don't need a crazy GPU, nothing. It just works straight out the box. So make sure you watch all the way till the end, because I've got a bonus tool that can take your results from this platform and make them 10x, better, sharper, more professional, ready to post anywhere. Plus a little extra surprise for the real ones who stick around. And if you want my free document on how to actually make money with AI, not theory, real methods, here's the deal. Like this video. Subscribe to both this channel and my second one, links in the description. Then comment, watched every second, with a unique emoji. Once my AI detects you've done all that, it'll send you the doc immediately. Also, join the Discord, the link's in the description. That's where I drop more free resources, updates, and extra documents you don't get anywhere else. Alright, let's get started. Alright, here we go. This is the platform I've been talking about, and for what we're doing, ChatGPT and Veo 3 are cooked. This thing just eats the whole workflow. It builds, it generates, it edits, and it ships, clean. You can see right here on my dashboard, 3,000 credits sitting pretty. If you want to know how I stacked credits like this, stay with me till the end. I'll show you exactly how I did it. Watch this. I'm going to have it build a full video generator app from scratch. I'll type a simple instruction, build a video generator app with Veo 3 and Stable Diffusion APIs for dynamic content creation. Now I hit generate, and boom, done. It scaffolded a working AI video generator I can use right now. I'll full screen that so you can see everything. Inside the app, we've got tabs for image to video, text to video, and Veo 3. That last one is the star of the show. I'll pick V3 fast, set the resolution to 720 by 720, and paste one of my stress test prompts. If you watch my videos, you already know I keep a prompt pack that's perfect for testing any generator. It's in the Discord. You can add audio here if you want. Now, I'll click Generate Video. Let's check the result. Full screen. Look at the motion, the texture, the detail. This looks crazy realistic. Exactly the kind of output we want from Veo 3 when we're pushing quality. From here, I can just hit Download Video. And if you want a cleaner look, open it in the viewer, you'll see all the little details pop. Quick flex while we're here. This workspace also ties into other tools, so you're not bouncing between tabs. You'll even see Midjourney integrated inside this flow, so you can stay focused while you build. Alright, let's run the image generator. I'll keep the style on photographic and enter something simple like selfie.jpg, a young beautiful woman. Then I hit Generate Image. Here's the result. I'll download and open it so you can see it up close. If I told you this was AI, would you believe it? The skin, the lighting, the hair ridiculously realistic. No over-sharpened plastic look, none of that, just clean output. Now let's edit an existing image. I'll drag the one we just made into Edit Existing and give it a tiny nudge. She looks sad. Click Edit Image and check the before, after. On the left, the expression shifts more serious. On the right, she's smiling. Moodier. This is perfect for character consistency across shots when you need the same person in different scenes and vibes. You can also preview how it lands on mobile, which is clutch if you're optimizing for vertical or planning social posts. Under Styles, you've got photographic, digital art, cinematic, and a bunch more. Flip through, and you'll see the output adapt. And if I open the chat panel, I can just type enable dark mode and the UI switches. No hunting through settings, no theming headaches. One line, done. Time to publish. I'll click publish, wait a second, and we're live. I can copy the URL, open it in a new tab, and the project is ready to use. From here, I can download the files, keep iterating, add features whatever I want. It's literally idea to tool to result, without the usual 2 clicks and a prayer workflow. Now, let's peek at MCP2. This is where you see the giant shelf of APIs and services. Scroll through, and you'll spot ChatGPT, backend utilities, Figma, Notion, GitHub, and more. You can add them with the plus button, or just mention what you need in your prompt and let the system wire things up. Either way, you're building with real capabilities, not just vibes. If you head over to plugins, you can link this to VS Code. So if you write code, you get the best of both worlds. AI speed for scaffolding, editor control for precision. Less tab switching, more shipping. Under My Projects, you'll see everything you've built in one place. And if you're the monetization type, there's an affiliate program. Talk about what you actually use, help people get started, pick up commissions. Simple. Back in Create, you can upload your own code, drag and drop, and it'll help you build, test, and extend your ideas. Or use Paste Code and let it expand on the snippet. This is why I keep saying it. For this workflow, ChatGPT and VEO3 are cooked. This platform just collapses the friction. Less duct tape, more results. Bonus time. Let's level up the final look. First, I open a separate video enhanced platform. This is the place I use specifically to upscale and clean the outputs I generated earlier. I'll type the name in the search bar, click the first result, and log in. Nothing fancy here. Inside the dashboard, you'll notice there are video tools and image tools. Today I'm going straight to video enhance because we're polishing motion, texture, and clarity on actual clips. I hit upload, pick one of the clips I just generated, and let it load. Once it's in, I choose my upscale option, simple and effective. If you're wondering which one to pick, go with the level that matches how you plan to use the footage. Need something crisp for social or a landing page? Pick the higher upscale. Need something lighter and fast for drafts? Pick the lower one. No hacks, no weird tricks, just select, confirm, and click enhance. While it processes, here's what this actually does for you. It tightens edges, reduces the mushy look you sometimes get from raw generations, and gives you that, is this real? Sharpness, without turning skin into plastic. When it finishes, you'll see the before, after difference, immediately cleaner lines, better texture retention, and the whole frame just feels more intentional. That's the, why does this look so crisp? Reaction people notice, even if they can't explain what changed. I always preview the enhanced result full screen. Alright, credits, because I know you saw the balance earlier and you're curious. If I click into my profile, you'll see how the credits are tracked. The UWare AI team gave me an early access link for the channel. Use the link in the description. The early folks who jump in from there get free credits like I did. They also give free credits by default. I'm just showing you exactly how I got this specific balance. No begging, no loopholes, just the correct link and you're in. If the video helped you out, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more AI content. Remember to also get my free AI documents and make money with it.
You've got a big new website idea and the team loves it. Instead of taking months to build it, why not just use Framer? With Framer, designing
GPT-5 is finally here. I am lucky enough to have been testing it over the last week, and yes, it is truly an incredible model. Let me just break down everything you need to know about this model. So here's the blog post, our smartest, fastest, and most useful model yet, with built-in thinking that puts expert-level intelligence in everyone's hand. Now, the first thing you're going to notice about this model is it is a hybrid model. It has both thinking and non-thinking versions built into the same exact model. And in fact, they said they're deprecating all of the former models. So that includes 4.0, 4.1, 4.5, the O family of models. Kind of sad. 4.0 was an incredible model. So
definitely a little heavy-hearted because I did really love the 4.0 model for the vast majority of my use cases. Here it says state-of-the-art performance in coding, math, writing, health, visual perception, and more. It is a unified system that knows when to respond quickly and when to think longer to provide expert-level responses. Now, let me show you something really cool. So here we have GPT-5 thinking, and if I ask it, tell me a 1,000-word story, as soon as I hit enter, what you're gonna see is this get a quick answer. And if I click that, it's going to essentially short circuit the thinking process and just start outputting. And so that's what we're seeing here. So very cool feature. If it misinterprets the amount of reasoning it needs to put towards your prompt, you can just go ahead and click that button. And the amazing thing, it's available to all users, including free users. GPT-5 is available to everybody. Plus subscribers get more usage. Pro subscribers getting access to GPT-5 Pro, a version with extended reasoning for even more comprehensive and accurate answers. Here it says GPT-5 is a unified system, and for harder problems, a real-time router that quickly decides which to use based on conversation type, complexity, tool needs, and your explicit intent. If you say, think hard about this, it will go ahead and use that longer thinking. The router is continuously trained on real signals, including when users switch models, preference rates for responses, and measured correctness improving over time. There are also 3 versions of GPT-5. We have the standard one, we have mini, and nano. Once usage limits are reached, a mini version of each model handles remaining queries. In the near future, we plan to integrate these capabilities into a single model. And OpenAI really touted not only GPT-5's ability to excel at the benchmarks, but also its ability to accomplish real world tasks. And I think that's really where we're going to see it excel. And of course, it is an excellent coding model. I've tested it thoroughly on coding, and it really passes most of my tests with flying colors. And specifically, they call out complex front-end generation, and I have seen this. It actually knows design. It actually puts together really beautiful front ends and debugging larger repositories. So it has a 400,000 token context window, which is larger than all previous OpenAI models. It has a much better understanding of spacing, typography, and white space. And so that is really nice. And when Sam Altman said that we are in the fast fashion era of SaaS applications, this is kind of what he meant. It is just so easy to spin up an application for whatever you need in the moment. Here are some demos they provided of GPT-5's work. Here is Jumping Ball Runner. I've not played this. Let's see. Okay, very simplistic. I don't really understand the point of this game. It's very simple, but fine. Here's some pixel art. Okay, so we can draw in it. We can change the colors. A little bit laggy, but okay. They also provide the prompts down here. Here's a typing game. So typing speed race. Let's start. Let's see how fast I can type. Coffee, type, number, island, robust, gold, Mars, art, tempo, lazy, desert, word, chapter. I won't make you watch this anymore. Okay, so 90% accuracy. All right, drum simulator. Let's see. All right, that's really cool. And lo-fi visualizer. That's quite loud. Okay. Time to stop that. Next, they also said it's especially good at creative writing and expression. And it's really hard to actually test that, to know what that means. So you can read it. If it looks good to you, great. And I've tested a little bit of creative writing. It's still not great at jokes or humor in general, but it's fantastic at creative writing. But again, that's just my opinion. And the sponsor of today's video is Box, and they ran their own GPT-5 evaluations against Box-related use cases. So let me show you that right now. So look at this. This is GPT-5 versus GPT 4.1 Enterprise Metadata Extraction Evaluation. And it is a significant bump against GPT 4.1. What you're seeing here in purple is GPT-5, 95% large documents, 87% medium, and 90% small documents, basically about a 5 to 8% bump over GPT 4.1. And on average, GPT-5 scores a 90% overall accuracy on this benchmark. That is plus 5 points from 4.1. Box has GPT-5 available right now to use on Box AI Studio. So you can load up all of your enterprise documents into Box and run Q&A on them, analysis. Box is already trusted by over 100,000 government, enterprise organizations. They are known for enterprise-grade governance, security, and compliance. So whether you're a developer or you just want to extract real value from your documents, use Box AI and give GPT-5 a try right now in Box AI Studio. Thanks again to Box for sponsoring this video. They've been an incredible partner. I'll drop all the links down in the description below. I encourage you to check them out. A fantastic product. We use it at my company. Thanks again. Now back to the video. And it's also really good at health. This is something that I do use AI for all the time. If one of my kids has some health issue, I start asking immediately. If I have a health issue, if I get some results back from the doctor, the first thing I do is load it up into AI and let it tell me what it thinks. Give me just the simple translation of complex doctor's notes or test analysis, and all of that just becomes so much easier to understand when you have AI by your side. The model scores significantly higher than any previous model on Health Bench. This is their own benchmark for health-related assistance. The model also now provides more precise and reliable responses, adapting to the user's context, knowledge level, and geography, enabling it to provide safer and more helpful responses in a wide range of scenarios. It does not replace medical professionals. Think of it as a partner to help you understand results, and I could not emphasize that more. This is the first place I go, but if it's serious, you and me should go to the doctor. All right, let's look at some benchmarks. So first, we have Amy 2025, GPT-5 Pro got 100%. Now, one thing I didn't really like is that they didn't compare it to any competitor models. They only compared it to previous versions of OpenAI's models, but these are strong scores. They should have compared.
Hello, my name is Kevis, and over the past year, I've created this channel that you're looking at right now, and it's managed to make around 40K so far. But the actual remarkable thing is that these videos take literally less than 10 minutes to make. I'm going to show you exactly how to make these videos, but I want you to actually understand. These videos are literally reused videos. I'm taking other people's content and adding voiceover, which I don't even write. I literally just take the clip, add it to an AI, and the AI writes the script for me. I'm going to show you exactly how to do all that. But literally, let me just play a video so you understand what we're working with here.
These rude kids saw Granny trying to eat their leftovers. She was so hungry and hadn't eaten all day. But before she could even have her first bite, they rushed over and snatched the plates away from her hungry hands. The poor woman looked...
That's about it, ladies and gentlemen. There's no crazy editing going on. All I'm literally adding are these captions. I did not add this arrow. The arrow was already in the original video. I did not write the script. I put it in an AI and they wrote that script. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that because it's still working right now, okay? Now, before you think I'm some one-trick pony, I am not, okay? Literally last month, which is...
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
More than 11 days ago, I also monetized this channel right here. This one literally took, let me just pull it up. So this one was monetized in 1 week. Right, that's all the videos. So the first video made 3 million views, 4 million views, 5 million views, 2 million views, and now we're officially monetized. Though we're having a bad week right now, but I can revive it, no problem. So it's not doing the best right now, but literally monetizing 1 week. For those that may be thinking, oh, because I created the channel 1 year ago, it may not work for you. It literally is. And not just that, I created another channel. I'm not trying to flex. I'm just trying to tell you why you should listen to me, basically. So let me just switch channels. So this one was also monetized last month. We're doing pretty good right now. I had 1 of 10. But anyway, that's not the point. Monetized as well, literally within a month, I think, for this one. But anyway, that's not the point, okay? And it's not just for me. Again, I'm not trying to flex. In my private community, which you don't need to join, relax. I'm not trying to say you anything. You don't need to join any community to execute on what I'm going to tell you in this video. It's just going to be down to whether you execute or not. But in my private community, not going to waste any more of your time. So in my private community, this guy, Ivan, literally he won 25k subs in 1 week. And a couple days later, he applied for monetization. And yeah, here he's saying he's officially monetized. So literally anyone can do this, okay? You don't need to join anything. So other than that, that's about it. Now we can literally get into the video. So what we're going to be talking about in this video is how you probably have seen a bunch of channels like this literally popping off. Right? And then you're not crazy. It's literally all over YouTube right now. So I'm going to show you the strategy to enter this channel. Anyone can do it. Like I said, all they're doing is taking clips.
When this little guy was late for class, he thought,
I'm going to show you how to narrow down and find the clips that are more likely to go viral. And then we're going to go ahead. I'm going to show you how to literally have it write the script for you. And that's about it. Yeah. So basically, I have a lot of these channels saved up. I have a lot of them literally getting 1 million views right now. And guys, when you see someone, when a lot of people doing this, also seeing some success, it's not luck anymore, right? If you execute and if you actually follow the right strategies, you're going to see similar results. That's literally it. It's market proven. Literally so many people, I can pull up 10 more from here that are all doing good. Okay, all doing good. Now, the problem when I started my own channel, let me just pull it up right here. When I started this channel a year ago, the problem was that back then I didn't really have any strategy. Back then I was kind of just like posting and posting. And if you watch my old videos, you see all I always said was just focus on consistency, just post over and over and over and over. I didn't have a rigid strategy. That's why it took me so long. So before I started actually making money on this channel, I was posting it every single day for like a month plus. I think it was like 2 to 3 months or something like that. So I had no strategy. I was just based on trial and error. But eventually I hit on a winning pattern, as you can see somewhere here. And as you can see, basically that whole month, it was doing a lot of views within 10k months, etc. But the problem was, guys, that view commentary was basically a numbers game, was basically an iteration game, an endurance race. So that's actually why, if you've been watching my channel, I've been against this channel. I was like, oh, you don't really have a strategy for this. There's better niches to go for, right? But now I think I do have a strategy, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do. I just want to preface you, before you enter this and follow the video, just so you have these things in mind. So you might feel like I'm stalling, but these are actually crucial information that you need to have. So the first thing that you want to do, actually the number one thing that you have to consider before you even try any of these things, is make sure you have an aged account. If you don't know, an aged account is an account that is old, okay? It's not like you just created it. Maybe a family member's account that's been around for a while. Like, it has an age, right? It's been aged. That's the account you want to enter. Otherwise, you might get into something called zero views, where you post a video and YouTube just do not push your video. So to avoid that, before you even test this, so you can actually gauge properly or your success, use an aged account, guys. Anyway, that's about it. Now, the first thing we need to make videos in this niche is idea, right? So if you look at these channels popping off right now, all these channels, let me add one more. If you look at these channels, you might think, oh, how do I find the clips? How do I source these clips? A lot of people just say, how do I source the clips, right? And then they'll just start scrolling on Instagram and stuff like that. And then they post a lot of videos, they're not actually seeing results, and then just give up. But there's a better way these guys are doing this. At least 90% of these clips that you're seeing right now have gone viral in the past, okay? If you click any random video, and you check to see the credits, you copy this. Spencer Nolan, who's that? Okay. Go to TikTok. Okay. And then search Spencer Nolan. And when that video pops up, if I can find it, what's his most popular video? Right, so I can't find that clip for some reason on TikTok, so I'm gonna just take another one from his channel. What do we say? Do we take this one?
This guy was just...
Okay, literally, they have credits. Copy that. Go on TikTok. Search. And literally, same video, what would you know, have gone viral in the past. Maybe not on YouTube, right? 7.7 million views about a year ago. And guys, okay? If you start to go through all these channels, you actually start to realize, no way, they're literally reviving already viral content in the past, right? So what does that information tell you and I? It's literally telling us that all these channels we're looking that are printing right now, I'm talking 10K a month plus, all they're doing is remaking already viral content that's already proven to work with people. They're just taking it and adding voiceover on it and bringing it to YouTube. They're taking these clips from other social media, right? So, but how do we actually replicate this? How do we actually start learning at them? Now,
When this...
Alright, so Leo is giving credits, and literally 90% of their videos are coming from TikTok, okay? So what does that tell you? What do we have to do? It literally means that all we have to do is find these clips on TikTok and then bring them to YouTube, right? But obviously, you can't just search viral videos on here, right? What you can then do is to watch the clips, basically train your feed to only surface you already viral content like that. Those random viral videos that just randomly go viral for no reason. And then we take those and then add a voiceover to them. So what I want you to do is literally create a fresh TikTok account, open that account, and then start to go through all these videos. Let's see, what was that guy? So Leo gives credits.
This guy was just...
So all we have to do, literally load up this video on TikTok, engage with them, comment on these videos, comment on these random videos, right? This random viral videos, right? Just do as much of that as possible, refresh, engage, do the same thing, and curate your home page, your home feed to only be feeding you content that's just going viral right now amongst people. And whenever you go on TikTok, you'll just be seeing a long list of viral-worthy TikTok videos for you to literally take from them and bring into YouTube, okay? So now, what do you do when you find the clip? After you find the clip, boys, you don't need to write your scripts anymore, okay? You're gonna be let me just preface this. You have to actually be ready to put in some volume for this, right? The strategy I just gave you is gonna narrow it down as much as possible for you to target clips that would most probably go viral for you. But you need to be prepared to do some volume, which is easy because you're not editing much. Tops, these videos are taking max 15 minutes to make, okay? So you need to be ready to do some volume. Do 30 videos, okay? But guys, once you get pushed just once, it gets easier to start getting pushed again. And once you get into the algorithm, boys, you have yourself a channel that can potentially make high five figures per month, right? Let me just show you this guy, Matt. I think it was Matt or someone else. So this guy, he's having a bad month right now. Bad month, and he's making 6K. Last month, this guy made over 20K. Like 20K per month from shorts alone. That's because these commentary videos can do 50 million views. Go to his most popular videos, or 90 million, 8 million, 9 million. So I've seen these videos on channels, small channels, doing 50 million views plus, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing on that new channel that I monetize. So now I'm going to show you what to do when you find the clip.
POV, tu commandes Uber en plein.
So, right off the bat, I just randomly... Okay, let's just take this video, right? Well, we already searched it up anyway. Let's just take this random video. Copy the link and go to this site called Cobalt. I'm just going to download it. So now we have the video. So, boys, now I want you to go to this website. It's AI Studio. It's made by Google, and it uses Gemini 2.5 Pro. But the advantage, the reason I use this, and I don't see anyone else talking about this, is because it can watch videos, okay? So that means I can literally open a new chat, drag and drop a video, and they can watch that video, and based on the instructions I gave it can write me a full-on script. And that's exactly what we're going to make it to do. So here's what my chat looks like, okay? So I've feathered the transcripts of these two channels. So to download the transcripts, I went ahead and made this tool that you're looking at right now. You'll be able to find in the link below, probably in the Discord or in the link below. So what you're going to go ahead and do is just copy the links, paste it, and we'll choose a good number. Let's say something like 40. Now I'm not going to download again because I already did, so I'm just going to use those files. But all you do is just you choose a folder, and then you start scraping. After a while, it downloads the transcripts. So what it does, it ranks the videos, downloads the transcripts of those videos, downloads the number of views each video gets, right? And essentially, this allows the AI to understand the content, almost like the AI is watching it, you know? And now you're going to paste a prompt like this. When you post a prompt like this telling it to learn from the script, it's going to understand, the videos, how it's written, stuff like that. But that's done. That's the only step you need. Now, all you have to do is drag the video, right? Now, it does watch videos, but it's not like 100% human-like yet, so it might make mistake and mismatch context. So you might want to just give it a little bit of context of what's going on. I don't speak French, so I have no idea what's going on here. But actually, that might be really good because it can understand the video, so with the voiceover in them. So it has a better understanding of the video when there's a voiceover in it. So I think that might actually help it. So I'm literally just going to tell it, now use the style that you've learned. Okay, use the style that you've learned to write the script. For this video. Watch it to find the context and then write it from scratch if you were using the style you learned from those transcripts. Alright, so post it, send, and let's see what it gives us. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna read it. This student thought he could get away with audio but he's diving into his university lecture. He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until the class was over. But there was one problem. The driver was in a mission and wasn't about to wait, so he rode his bike. He rode his bike straight into the master lecture and right past heading down to the area. The entire college just stopped and said so. But this is your script, ladies and gentlemen, right? Okay? So there's no reason the barrier to entry for this has never been this low. Okay, I just showed you how to find potential winning ideas. I just showed you how to write these scripts. I'm literally going to show you again how to make the voiceover for this to actually sound a bit realistic. Because if you look at these channels, they actually sound somewhat realistic. Copy this, literally copy this. come here to AI Studio and click this. Okay? You don't need to pay for 11 Labs. I think this is better than 11 Labs as it currently is. I only use this now. It's basically 11 Labs, but with Gemini 2.5 Pro, if that makes sense. If you merge ChatGPT with its ability to speak, it understands the semantics of things. It has a more level of understanding how to say these words. It's just generally better. And there's a lot you can choose from. Enter this instruction right here. I like to use this one. This one's pretty good, this one. And literally generate. Now, while that's happening, before you click off the video, it's not done yet. There's one more crucial thing that you have to understand. Oh, my camera's not aligned pretty well. There's one more thing that you have to understand when you're editing the videos, just to make sure that you're nailing the videos and that you're hooked.
The faster your company grows, the tougher it is to support your customers. Unless you have AI-powered tools to supercharge your service department.
And that's why we use HubSpot.
This Father's Day, make Dad feel super with a gift card from Super Cheap Auto.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university.
And that your hook and retention is not the problem. You want to make sure you're actually delivering good content. And I'm not saying you have to over-edit stuff. No, I'm actually going to show you one little trick that you need to just make sure that you keep people throughout the video. So let's just play this voiceover real quick.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture. He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until class was over at noon.
I just wanted to add one thing, right? Sometimes Gemini might tend to write longer script. Let's say you have a small clip and the script itself is too long. You can tell it, oh, Gemini, let me just show you the prompt. So whenever you think that the script is a bit too long for the clip that you have, just write this prompt. But this clip is a bit shorter. I think we can make it fit their voice. We may need something just a little bit shorter, and it's going to shorten it whilst maintaining the whole style that I was trying to go for. Now we have our script. We have our clip. Now I'm going to show you guys how to edit this in as fast as possible while making sure you're not sacrificing quality. So I use DaVinci Resolve. You can use CapCut. We're not doing anything crazy, no crazy edits. Actually, CapCut is actually better for this because I still use CapCut for the captions. So when I'm done editing here, I'm going to put in CapCut and then add some captions on top. So here we are. No, almost forgot. I'm actually going to show you how to make these thumbnails as well, like easily. And I'm not talking ChatGPT because ChatGPT messes up the aspect ratio. I'm going to also show you how to make these thumbnails, you know, like with some single click. Anyway, so we're going to edit our video now. Then there we go. Now, the thing that I wanted to show you guys, you only need one strategy when you're editing these commentary clips to keep retention. And that thing is cutting every single time there's another sentence, okay? It literally re-jabs the brain and makes them, re-hooks them and keeps them around, okay? So let's just play.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture. He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until class started. This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture.
Yeah, so I already cut, but it cut too late. But so what you want is when this is a new sentence because there's a space in between speech. Before this one cuts in, you add another clip.
He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until class was over.
Actually, I think this will be a better hook.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture.
Right? Sentence done. Now you cut to something. You always want to be progressing your clip. At the slightest hint of the user being like, of the viewer being like, oh, why is the story not moving forward? They'll click off. And then when that compounds, as YouTube tries to give you impressions, your video is not getting pushed. You always want to be moving the clip forward. If there's only one thing that you learn in terms of editing, move the story forward. Okay, so that's that. We can make a clip. You also want the clip to be visualizing what the voiceover is saying at any time.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture. He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until class was over at noon. There was just one problem. The driver was on a mission. It wasn't about to wait. So he rode his bike straight to the massive lecture hall, right past the professor, and started heading down the aisle. The entire class just stopped and stared as the driver pulled up to the student's desk and asked for Ant. The funniest part, even the professor just played along, asked.
So I was also always like to add an arrow. It just helps stop the scroll.
This student thought he could get away with ordering.
That's something, right? That's definitely unique.
This student thought he could get away with ordering.
All right, so, boys, I think we're basically done here, but I do want to give a big context here. Something happened with this clip. So usually when you have your clip, you want to have, you want to always definitively have a climax, right? The feel-good moment, that's when they feel good and they comment and they like your video. So you want, at the end of your video, for them to feel good. But I think either our script didn't actually accurately watch the video to understand, or maybe this clip wasn't that remarkable, but just watch the video and get what I mean.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university lecture. He put in the order but told the driver to wait outside until class was over at noon. There was just one problem. The driver was on a mission and wasn't about to wait. So he rode his bike straight to the massive lecture hall, right past the professor, and started heading down the aisle. The funniest part, even the professor just played along, asking the class if anyone else ordered a pizza.
So I don't think that endpoint you see right here, I don't think he was dopamine inducing enough. I definitely think it's pretty good. Like, this is a really solid clip. Now, the last part is what actually brings the whole look together. There's a particular font that they're using. There's a particular effect that they're using. And that, you can only find it on CapCut that I know of. So I'm just going to save this video. Nice name, by the way. Right, so I'm just going to select that. I'm going to go to text. I'm going to go to auto captions. And you just want to select anything for now. So I'm just going to select this one. Generate. So selecting this. You now want to click one, go to style, and choose this.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats.
Then go all the way to the right, select animations, and select color bounce.
This student thought
right. Scale it up a little bit so the attention is on the moving voiceover. They do this a lot.
This student thought he could get.
So now we have our video, but the last crucial part that really ties this all together is the thumbnails, right? You've seen this every time. You've seen this every single time. I'm yet to understand if there's a positive correlation between this and more views, but it's just safe to make your videos as similar as possible to your competitors. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, but this is our video.
This student thought he could get away with ordering Uber Eats directly to his university.
See what I mean? Like, this font, like this caption really just ties it together. But anyway, now, how do you make those thumbnails? You can use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not bad, actually. It's pretty good. I think it takes too much time, and I think it messes up the aspect ratio. So I literally just use this one. It's called Fox Playground, and it gives you a lot of free trials as well. So I used it to make this one as well. Use it to make this. It literally, it's so fast, it generates in like 10 seconds. So you want to use a prompt like this. Make this look like a YouTube high contrast very color. Add an arrow that points to the man. And here you can add your context, right? So I'm going to show you how to. So you want to go to Flux Playground. You want to open your video and add. Choose a scene. This scene is pretty good. Right? Now you want to ask yourself, what's the most remarkable thing about this video? What's the key thing? You know, what's making this video different, right? And that is Uber Eats in lecture, right? So keep that in mind. So now that we have the screenshot, I'm going to go ahead and drag it here. Select Flux 1 context. Text that points to the man that says Uber in class. And if you click, literally you can count. You can count down. 1, 2, 3. Done. And here's one. This is literally so good. Actually, I literally generated 4 on like ChatGPT. You have to wait 2 minutes. And then, my favorite typing strategy, naming strategy. So you have that. Now, for those wondering, how do I add thumbnails to shorts? So you just add the photo at the end of the video for like 2 frames. So if your clip ends right there, just add 1 more frame to it, like that. And then when you're posting on your phone, you have to post on your phone. Just select this as the cover image. And boys, that is the strategy for this niche. Now is the mindset, okay? This works, guys. It works, okay? So when you post a video and you post like 5 videos and maybe you got hit with a 0 view jail or 20K view jail, do not give up. It literally works, okay? All you have to do is to spin that problem into you trying to discover a solution. If you're hitting the 20K view jail, literally ask yourself what's going on. Or you can watch the video I literally made on these view jails and how you can escape them, okay? So you have everything, no excuses at all. But that's about it for me. If you want to work with me personally, or join my private community where we literally
So GPT-5 just did something that surprised everyone. Let's talk about it. So a few days ago, OpenAI released GPT-5, the latest version of OpenAI's flagship model. And now something happened that completely changed everything. So on August 20th, 2025, a researcher named Sebastian Bubeck, who works at OpenAI, decided to run what seemed like a pretty routine test. He took a brand new mathematical paper about something called convex optimization, and I'll explain what that is in a minute, and then he fed it to GPT-5 Pro. This wasn't just any paper though, it had what researchers call an open problem, which is basically math speak for, well, we don't really know how to solve this yet. Now, when I first heard about this, I was thinking that, okay, the AI probably just regurgitated something it had seen in scientific discovery.
It's 9:15. How am I already underwater?
I'm in the same boat.
I'm in an actual boat.
I thought Grandma.
What happens when these systems get even more powerful? We might be looking at a future where AI systems routinely contribute to scientific papers, where AI-generated proofs become common in mathematical journals. We've already seen a few cases where, Google's Gemini has discovered some new math, and I guess OpenAI now have that one on their belt too. So it will be interesting to see where these companies are in the next year.
Let's be real. The old way of learning can be painfully slow. Hours slogging through textbooks, endless tutorials, YouTube rabbit holes, only to realize you didn't actually retain much. No more. Today, I'm going to show you how to cut your learning time in half using AI, specifically ChatGPT, and actually remember and use what you learn. No generic hype, just real techniques that I've tested over the last years. By the end, you'll have step-by-step system to go from zero to knowledgeable in record time, and turn that knowledge into real outcomes, projects, posts, even new gigs. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Study mode basically transforms ChatGPT from a simple answer bot into an interactive teacher. Instead of just handing you solutions, guides you through the problem. Ask a question in study mode, and ChatGPT will reply with hints, follow-up questions, and clear explanations broken into steps, almost like a Socratic dialogue. For example, if you ask, why does it rain in study mode? ChatGPT might begin with, think about water. It doesn't just stay on the ground, right? Prompting you to consider the process instead of just giving you a definition. By continually asking and explaining in turn, study mode fills in your knowledge gaps and adapts to your level, just like a real tutor would. This approach forces you to actively participate, which makes the knowledge stick. The result, you learn faster and remember more because you're not just memorizing facts, you're truly understanding the ideas. It's a game changer for anyone serious about learning, essentially turning ChatGPT into 24/7 personal tutor that never gets tired of your questions. Enough talk, let's see how it works in action. Now, how do you activate this magic? It's super simple. Enable study mode. In the ChatGPT interface, open the tools menu near the prompt bar. From the drop-down, select study and learn. You'll see an indicator that study mode is on. Yes, it's available to everyone, free plus pro, whoever, so no excuses. Set the stage. Tell ChatGPT what you want to learn and why. Be specific. The more context you give, the better it can help. Don't just say, teach me quantum physics. Instead say, I have to present on quantum physics tomorrow, but I only remember basic high school science. This way, ChatGPT gauges your level and goals. By sharing your situation, you're basically giving the AI a lesson plan to work with. Feed it materials, optional. If you have any notes, slides, or reference material, upload them into the chat. Yes, ChatGPT can digest PDFs or images now. For instance, you can say, here are my lecture notes, attach PDF. Use these to quiz me on key points. ChatGPT will scan your file and tailor its teaching to that content. This is gold. Means the AI isn't just teaching from generic knowledge, but from the exact material you need to learn. Super targeted. Interactive learning. Once you set your topic and hit enter, study mode springs into action. Don't expect a long answer to just read passively. Instead, ChatGPT will likely start by asking you a question or two. It might ask something like, have you studied this before? Or how comfortable are you with basic concept on a scale of 1 to 10? This isn't dodging your question, it's assessing your knowledge so it can teach at the right level. It wants to know what you already know or don't know. The more honestly you respond, the better it can adapt the lesson. Learning in layers. Now you're in the thick of it. ChatGPT will start explaining the topic in small, scaffolded chunks, starting with the basics and building up. After a bit of explanation, it will pause and check your understanding. Does that make sense? Or it may throw a quick quiz or ask you to rephrase a concept. For example, if you were learning French, it might teach a few phrases, then ask, how do you say I would like a coffee, please, in French, to see if you absorbed it. If you try answering, it will give immediate feedback, correct you if you're wrong, or add nuance if you're right. This interactive loop of explain, question, feedback is where the real learning happens. Don't be a passive sponge. Here's a common mistake. Just sitting back and letting ChatGPT talk at you. This is not a YouTube video. You gotta participate. So when ChatGPT asks something, answer it. Even if you're unsure, take a stab. The act of formulating an answer helps reinforce your memory. This is called active recall. More on that later. And if you're totally lost, no shame, tell the AI you're confused. Say, I didn't catch that. Can you break it down simpler? A good tutor, AI or human, will happily re-explain in simpler terms or with a different example. ChatGPT will do exactly that if you prompt it. Remember, it's infinitely patient and non-judgmental. Use that progressive challenge. As you start getting it, ChatGPT will ramp up the challenge, might delve into more complex concepts or ask tougher questions as you improve. If at any point you feel it's going too fast, you can rein it in. Hang on, can we review that last part once more? Conversely, if it's too slow, say, got it, I know this already, let's skip ahead. You're in control of the pace. Summarize and save. Finally, when you feel like you've learned enough or you're out of time, tell ChatGPT to wrap up the lesson. Great trick, ask for a summary or cheat sheet of what you just learned. For example, can you summarize the key takeaways from our session in a brief bullet list? Boom, you'll get a tidy recap highlighting all the important points, formulas, definitions, whatever. Save that summary. It's perfect for a quick review later so you don't forget everything overnight. This is how study mode makes you learn faster by thinking out loud, not copy-pasting answers. Inside AI Master Pro, I built my personal learning bot, tuned to our methods. While you're studying, you can ask it anything, and it answers in context. It's ridiculously convenient, and we're genuinely proud of this tool. AI Master Pro is my home base for learning AI without the chaos. A clear path for what to learn first, weekly updates so you're never outdated, tons of ready-to-use prompts for every step of the learning flywheel, and 50 plus PDF cheat sheets you can skim in minutes. You also get the built-in tools like AI Master Chat, Art Studio, Voice Booth, and Deep AI research, so you can plan, learn, quiz yourself, and ship a real output in one place, no tab sprawl. Right now, there is up to 50% off for new members. Links below. Join us and make this your default way of learning AI. Now, before we dive deeper, AI won't magically download knowledge into your brain matrix style. You still have to put in the effort and think. And there are definitely ways to use it wrong that will slow you down or leave you with shallow understanding. So next, let's cover some common mistakes people make when learning with AI and how to avoid them. I've watched plenty of smart people trip over the same potholes when they first bring ChatGPT into their study routine. Number one, the first stumble is treating the model like Google on steroids. Fire off a question, copy the wall of text, feel productive, learn nothing. That happens because learning demands a conversation, not a data dump. And conversations require context, which is the next trap. If you don't tell ChatGPT why you care, whether you are prepping a boardroom pitch or cramming a boot camp quiz, it will serve you a bland, one-size-fits-none answer. Even when folks do supply context, many try chugging the whole fire hose at once. Web dev, teach me HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Node, Docker, and sprinkle in blockchain. Cue information coma. Focus on the high leverage 20% first. Then there is the silent reader syndrome, staring at AI text as if osmosis will tattoo it onto your brain.
Listen, it's called Connect Team, and it's insane. I don't do schedules or timesheets manually anymore.
And it works?
Oh.
You have to talk back, quiz yourself, wrestle with the ideas, and yes, keep your skeptic hat on. ChatGPT's confidence doesn't guarantee correctness, so sanity check anything mission critical. 3. Finally, remember learning is iterative. If the first explanation doesn't click, ask for another angle. That's not failure, that's tuning the AI. Then use what you've learned. Write a mini script, code a snippet, teach someone else. Application cements memory. Theory alone evaporates. Keep those pitfalls in mind and you'll be miles ahead of casual users. Ready for the blueprint that makes all this stick? Let's spin up the 7-step AI learning flywheel. And by the way, the full AI Master Pro system is linked below if you want to lock in these study mode patterns across your workflow. So how do you actually put everything together? ChatGPT's capabilities, good study habits, application into a repeatable process. Let me walk you through the 7 steps of my AI-powered learning flywheel. Think of this like a cycle that not only helps you learn rapidly, but also transforms knowledge into real-world results. Each step feeds the next, so you build momentum, hence flywheel. Step 1. Identify high-impact material. Don't start by aimlessly asking questions. First, define exactly what you need to learn and zero in on the high-impact stuff. I always begin by asking ChatGPT to map out the topic and highlight the most important 20% to focus on. For example, I want to learn the basics of web design for a freelance gig. According to the 80-20 rule, what key topics, the 20%, should I focus on to cover 80% of web design needs? ChatGPT will likely respond with something like, if you master just HTML, CSS, responsive design, design principles, you'll already be able to deliver 80% of client websites. Boom, now you have a roadmap. No more wandering through random subtopics. You can further ask it to create a learning plan or syllabus for those key topics. This plan might break the topic into modules or weeks, ensuring you tackle the most useful stuff first. By identifying high-impact material upfront, you make your learning efficient. You're not trying to learn everything. anything, just the right things that give you the maximum payoff. Step 2, plan your learning. Great, you have the what. Next, the when. Time management and consistency are huge in learning. It's easy to say I'll study when I have time, and then never do it. So I get ChatGPT to act as my study coach here. I'll prompt something like, here's my schedule and your plan for me. Help me create a realistic study timetable with regular review sessions. For instance, I can dedicate 1 hour each on Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings, make a 4-week schedule to cover those web design basics and include short review quizzes. ChatGPT will generate a day-by-day or week-by-week schedule. Week 1 Monday, HTML basics. Wednesday, CSS styling. Friday, CSS responsive design plus quick quiz. Week 2, and so on. It even suggests spaced repetition by building in review sessions. You can explicitly ask for that. Add a 15-minute review the next day for each topic. The key is have a plan and schedule it. ChatGPT can craft that plan in seconds, but stick to it, and you will be amazed how much you cover in a short time. Step 3, learn by teaching. Now you dive into learning. But as you absorb the material, a powerful strategy to deepen your understanding is to teach it back, either to yourself or to ChatGPT. This is basically the Feynman technique, named after physicist Richard Feynman, which says, if you really understand something, you can explain it simply. Here's how I do it with AI. First, I might have ChatGPT generate a good explanation for me. I'll say, explain in simple terms as if I'm a beginner. That gives me a baseline. Then I flip roles. I tell ChatGPT to pretend to be the student and I'll be the teacher. For example, now let me try to explain it. I'll tell you in my own words what blockchain is, and you, ChatGPT, play the role of a curious student. Interrupt me with questions if I'm unclear or wrong. This is amazingly effective. I did this recently to test my understanding of Python decorators. I explained it to ChatGPT as student. It then asked me a question. But wait, aren't decorators usually used on functions too, not just classes? Which exposed a gap in my explanation. Caught me. So I revisited that part, learned the nuance, and explained again correctly. That concept stuck with me so much more after. Teaching someone, even an AI, creates the protege effect. You learn faster yourself by teaching others. The beautiful irony here is using AI as student can actually teach you better than AI just lecturing. So don't just consume, turn the tables and teach the AI. We'll identify your weak spots with its questions, and you will fill them. If you can teach it without help, congrats, you truly know your stuff. Okay, step 4 is all about testing and reinforcing. As you progress, regularly test what you've learned. 2 science-backed methods reign supreme for retention. Active recall, forcing yourself to retrieve info, and spaced repetition, revisit an info over time. ChatGPT is like the ultimate customizable quiz machine for this. At the end of a study session, or even midway, I'll say, quiz me on what we just covered, or more specifically, make 5 flashcard-style Q&As about this topic. It will generate questions and either wait for your answer or give the answers after each question, depending on how you prompt. You can actually tell it to wait for your answer. Ask me a question, then let me answer, then tell me if I'm right. It's an interactive flashcard. Another trick, if you have a lot of notes, you can have ChatGPT turn them into a Q&A set or flashcard deck. For example, here are my notes on chapter 3, paste them. Generate 10 flashcards, question on front, answer on back, covering the key points. Boom. Instant flashcards. If you use a flashcard app like Anki, ask ChatGPT to format the output as CSV or an Anki syntax so you can import directly. Huge time saver. I used to spend hours making flashcards. Now it takes minutes. And since ChatGPT can simulate various quiz formats, multiple choice, true, false, short answer, you can practice in different modes. Why is this step so important? Because testing is learning. Every time you recall an answer, you strengthen that memory pathway. Even getting it wrong is fine. In fact, better now than when it counts. ChatGPT will immediately correct you and explain the right answer, which helps you learn. I do quick self-tests a day after learning something, then a few days after to combat the forgetting curve. That's spaced repetition at work. You can literally tell ChatGPT, in our schedule, include a review quiz on the previous topic each session. By step 4, you're actively engaging memory, which ensures you don't lose what you learned in step 3. Step 5, observe and learn. This step is a bit more advanced, but it's incredibly useful. Learn by watching the AI work through tasks. ChatGPT, especially with certain beta features or plugins, can actually execute multi-step projects, sort of like an agent autonomously doing stuff like web search, research, coding, etc. OpenAI introduced an agent mode where you can ask it to perform complex goals by itself. Think of it like this. You give it a task, and it figures out the steps and carries them out, narrating as it goes. For learning, this is awesome because you get to see how an expert, the AI, would approach a problem in real time. For example, I once asked Agent Mode ChatGPT to research the latest trends in fitness tech marketing and compile a one-page report with sources. I sat back and watched as it literally browsed articles, grabbed data, and drafted a summary with references. It was like watching a skilled researcher at work. I picked up on which websites it chose, how it skimmed for info, how it organized findings. I basically got a mini lesson in doing research by observing the AI do it. This AI autopilot feature is still evolving, but it's there. ChatGPT with Browsing Plus Code plugins can emulate a lot of this. Use this to learn, not to cheat. If you just have the AI do your homework and zone out, you gain nothing and kind of miss the point. Instead, treat it like a guided walkthrough. For coding, you could ask it to build a simple app while explaining each step, and you follow along to learn the process. It's like having an expert colleague demonstrating a task for you. I often delegate small tasks to ChatGPT, not because I can't do them, but because seeing how it does them exposes me to new tools, methods, or perspectives. It's a great way to discover efficient workflows. Just remember to pause and ask questions. Why did you choose that approach? ChatGPT will explain its reasoning. This step basically turns learning into a show, don't tell experience. Step 6, create real outputs. Up to now, you've been consuming and practicing in a controlled setting. Step 6 is where you turn knowledge into something tangible. This is crucial for solidifying learning and proving to yourself that you can do something with your new skills. Depending on what you're learning, the output could be a lot of things. A mini project, a written summary or article, video tutorial you make, a business proposal, you name it. The idea is to build or produce something using what you learned. ChatGPT can assist here as a creative partner or an assistant, but you should be in the driver's seat now, guiding the content. For example, say you learned about a new marketing strategy. You could challenge yourself to write a short blog post about it in your own words, and you can have ChatGPT help outline it or critique your draft. If you picked up a new programming language, try to build a simple app or script and use ChatGPT when you get stuck on bugs or need optimizations. If you studied a foreign language, use ChatGPT to help you write a short story or a dialogue in that language. By creating output, you're moving from theory to practice. It's okay if it's not perfect. That's part of learning. You can even ask ChatGPT for feedback on your work. Here's my summary of this concept in my own words. Did I capture it correctly? Or review my code for any mistakes or improvements. This kind of feedback on your creation is incredibly instructive. Also, producing something gives you a sense of accomplishment and a portfolio piece, however small. If your goal was business-oriented, like learning a skill to offer a service, you now have a prototype or a sample to show. Turning knowledge into an outcome also helps cement it in your memory. We tend to remember what we use. And hey, you might even get a monetizable asset out of it. Blog posts to attract clients, a product to sell, a skill to offer. In short, don't just learn and forget. Create something and you will truly internalize the knowledge. Step 7, reflect and iterate. The final step closes the loop. Reflect on what you've learned and how the process went, and use that to plan your next move. This is where you extract lessons about learning itself. Ask yourself, and even ask ChatGPT, what worked well? What could be improved? Maybe you realize that you retained information best when you did those quizzes, or that you need longer review sessions on week 2 content. Perhaps you discovered a gap in your understanding when creating your project in step 6. Great, those insights feed forward. I often have a wrap-up chat with ChatGPT like a retrospective. I learned topic X and created Y. I struggled with Z. Can you help clarify that? Also, what would be a good next topic to tackle to build on this? ChatGPT can help you see connections to other topics or suggest where to go deeper next. For example, if you just mastered the basics of web design, it might suggest learning a CSS framework next, or a bit of JavaScript to add interactivity. This ensures your learning journey is continuous. Reflection also means possibly teaching someone else, or an imaginary someone, what you learned, which is yet another form of active recall and reinforces step 3 again. You might even write a short summary of what you learned for your own reference or to share online. If you can explain it to others, you really know it. By iterating like this, you're effectively spinning the flywheel again for a new cycle. You set new goals, you focus on the next 20%, schedule it, learn, practice, apply, and reflect. Each time your base of knowledge and skills grows. Over months, this compounding effect is huge. This is how I've been able to continuously learn new AI techniques, business skills, etc. year after year without burning out. Each cycle builds on the last. That's the 7-step AI learning flywheel. Goal focus, plan, learn, teach, test, apply, reflect, then repeat. It's not just theory. I use this for everything, from learning a new programming framework to picking up marketing strategies, and ChatGPT is woven into every step, either as the tutor, the planner, the study buddy, the student, the coach, or the assistant. Follow these steps and you will be shocked at how fast you can go from 0 to proficient in pretty much any subject. We covered a lot today. This might feel a bit overwhelming, but here's the beauty. You don't have to implement it all perfectly from day one. Start small. Maybe today, just turn on study mode and try learning one concept you've been curious about. Or ask ChatGPT to make you a 3-day mini learning plan for a skill you need. But you have to be intentional and active in the process. Use the tools, follow the steps, and don't be afraid of the effort. AI doesn't remove effort, it multiplies the results of effort. If today helped, join the full system AI Master Pro, links in the description or pinned comment. Thanks so much for spending this time. Welcome to AI Master Pro, your all-in-one hub that turns overwhelming AI chaos into a structured path for your success. No more piecing together random tutorials or juggling multiple subscriptions. It's all here. A friendly, practical guide to help you leverage AI step by step. The goal is to turn you into an AI-enhanced version of yourself, multiplying what you're capable of in your field. Whoever you are will help you scale your work with AI. Whether you're freelancing, running a business, or working a regular job, we've united all the paths into one clear journey. We cut through the chaos and give you practical, easy-to-follow guides, checklists, and tutorials so you can finally use AI to get real results, not just watch cool demos on YouTube. More importantly, you'll discover the most effective way to grow your potential and income with AI and start taking actions that make a real difference. What's the point of learning about new AI tools if they cost a fortune? That's why we partnered with AI services to score you exclusive discounts, often enough to pay for the subscription in the very first month. That's instant ROI in your learning. But this program isn't just a collection of tools, it's your personal AI-powered way of becoming who you've always wanted to be. What's inside AI Master Pro? Video and text lessons, learn at your own pace, on your terms, beginner-friendly generative AI course, perfect as a refresher or a starting point. Simple PDF guides and checklists, no jargon, just step-by-step instructions you can follow today. Prompt templates, ready-to-go prompts to maximize ChatGPT, Midjourney, and more. AI trends updates, stay in the loop on everything important to AI without sifting through the noise. Exclusive partner discounts, save big on AI tools and software, covering your membership costs and then some. You also get built-in tools, AI Art Studio, create images, AI Voice Booth, text-to-speech for your projects. Prompt Creator helps you write effective prompts, and Deep AI Research, your personal AI search assistant. In Ask AI Master, you can drop any question. Not a fan of large chat groups? That's cool. Our master community is there if you want to connect with fellow AI enthusiasts, but our main mission is to give you the practical resources you need to succeed, period. Following this path, I built one of the world's top 5 YouTube channels about AI, and I'm not alone.
And I've been following AI Master for like 6 months or so, like for a while, and I finally gave the pro course a shot, and it really helped me to get my little agency moving. And big respect and big shout out to the course, and it changed the game for me, it changed the life for me.
Thank you for the AI Master Pro.
Big shout out to AI
AI Master.
Thank you for the AI Master Pro course.
AI Master Pro is here to guide you, but you have to take the first step. And there has never been a better time to start than right now. We're currently offering up to 50% off for new members as a special welcome discount. If you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and start putting AI to work for your goals, join AI Master Pro now. Let's make sure you're always ahead of the curve without the stress and confusion. See you inside.
Wix. One platform, any website. Unlimited creation.
ChatGPT-5 came out recently, and quite frankly, the reactions have been horrible. And to be honest with you, I agreed with them at first. But what if I told you you've been using the model wrong this entire time, and it's actually by far the most powerful model out there? You just need to be prompting it correctly. Here's the issue. Everyone is prompting GPT-5 the same way they're prompting all the other AI models out there. With GPT-5, you actually have to prompt it very, very differently than any other AI model you've used. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 different methods for prompting GPT-5 that will get you mind-blowing results. I'm serious, GPT-5 has been giving me answers and writing me code the last few days since I discovered these methods that are better than the results I'm getting from any other model. At the end of the video, I'm even going to show you a free tool that will instantly make your prompts better. You're not going to have to do any work at all. I'm serious. If you stick with me to the end and pay attention, you will have AI superpowers with GPT-5. Let's go. Here's what makes GPT-5 so different than any other model out there is it is a router model. And basically what that means is it's an all-in-one model. Before, when you were using GPT, you had options for O3, which made it think super hard, or 4.0, which made it think really, really fast and not use a ton of reasoning. O4 Mini, where it'd give you a really quick answer. OpenAI nuked all that and released one single model, GPT-5. But that means you now need to control a ton of different variables with every single prompt you do. You can't rely on GPT-5 to determine the level of reasoning, to determine the verbosity, determine the agentic tools it uses. And that might sound complicated, but I'll show you exactly how to control all those things. So with every prompt you do, there are 2 main variables you need to control. And there are a few others as well we'll get into, but the 2 main ones are reasoning level and verbosity. You can't rely on GPT to determine these variables for itself. You should control it. And the more you control it, the better results you'll get. But what does that mean though? What does it mean to control the reasoning level and the verbosity?